Welcome to the Croatian capital, Zagreb, for this new edition of the interview on France 24. Next year, on July 1st, Croatia will become the 28th member of the European Union. What will it mean for Croatians? What will it mean for Europeans? My guest today is the newly elected Prime Minister of Croatia, Zoran Milanović. Thank you for being our guest on the interview on France 24. Now, you were elected, your Social Democratic Party was elected in a general election in December. You defeated the Conservative Party of former Prime Minister Jadranka Kosor. You vowed to fix Croatia's ailing economy, to boost employment. Unemployment has soared to 17%, of course, in your country. And next year, you will join the European club. Now, as the EU is going through an almost existential crisis, why is it so important for you to join the EU?
First and foremost, hello. Look, if it were 10 years ago, it would have been a sea change. Now all we are praying for is a calm sea and a calm high seas. We shall see. It's our natural environment. We think both Croatia and the EU will benefit from our membership. Of course, it will not create a sea change for Europe itself, for herself, because we are small, I should not dare to say minuscule country, but close to
There are smaller nations than Croatia,
yes,
4.5 million
the
people.
thing is that as a small nation, in the category of the higher middle income country, we're being kind of cursed for the last 4 centuries of never crossing that threshold of the high-income countries. We think we can contribute, but we have to specialize. So we cannot have like plethora of priorities. We really have to set our priorities and know what matters for us and try to benefit from the membership. We've been around for a long time. What I believe is that we can really contribute and extract mutual benefit for Europe and for Croatia, and that's it. The crisis is existential, but then again, every day, human being goes through the existential crisis. We learn.
Now, Croatian voters voted in a referendum in January. They did say yes to EU membership, 66%, but turnout was very low, 44%. How do you explain this lack of interest?
It was, by some standards, and at the surface, it looks like miserably low. But in reality, we do have troubles with our voters' records, which do not seem to reflect reality. So there is equal number of citizens and voters, which departs from common sense. In reality, the turnout was closer to 60%, but still, compared with the standards of the other Central European countries at the point when they held their referenda, it's still quite low. But take another look, Slovakia had the referendum turnout of 95%, I guess. And a year down the road, the turnout for the European Parliament elections was 20%. So I hope that one goes higher in Croatia.
Now,
the former.
Fighting corruption remains a top priority for your government. The EU has vowed to monitor progress very closely until you join the EU. Do you have the means to clean the country?
To clean the August barn in the legend of Heracles of Greek myth? I hope we do. I hope we do stand a chance. But how does it go, that old Churchill's dictum, in victory magnanimity? So once we have won the elections, I rarely, if ever, make comments on the preceding government and the travails.
But how can you make sure this kind of scandals don't happen again in the future?
Well, those scandals were momentous by historical standards, so I'm sure it will never ever come to pass. I think we, as a society, we can draw on the lesson. Now, speak of myself as a decent and honest politician. Look, it's always travesty in politics to speak of oneself in that fashion. So there are people and voters to judge who we are. But the fight against corruption, that's another, logical misfit. Because once you are at the point of fighting corruption, it means that the corruption already became pervasive. We will not allow that to happen. That's it. That's all what I can say.
When you join the European Union, the borders of Croatia, I'm thinking of the eastern borders with Bosnia-Herzegovina and Serbia, will become the new borders of the European Union. Do you have the means to secure them?
Well, Serbia already has all but visa-free regime with the EU. Bosnia is likely to follow the suit, so I don't see any existential problem for the EU for that matter. But of course we're going to play by the rules. Playing by the rules, strict application of the rules was one of the dictums of our campaign. It's Schengen, and I have no fears whatsoever.
Because you said that you want to join Schengen as early as in 2015. Now, as you know, there's a very heated debate among EU leaders about the future of Schengen. Nicolas Sarkozy recently said that he wants to completely overhaul the system. He says it's not working. Aren't you worried that you will find yourself in the same situation as Bulgaria and Romania, finding it very hard to join the Schengen free border regime?
Well, I can hardly subscribe to such a point of view, especially when Croatia is in question. Look back in the mid-90s, where we were in the midst of the war and we were potentially a very risky country. At least the conventional wisdom would suggest that we were. But we were not required visas to enter French territory, nor British for that matter, nor German, nor Austrian. We were even allowed in the mid-90s to enter the Italian territory without passport, with just an ID. So it speaks volumes, I guess. Croatia is not a problem. It's a part of the solution, if there is a problem in the first place.
Now, of course, your membership will set a positive example for other countries in the region. I'm thinking of Serbia, which recently received candidate status, but also Bosnia-Herzegovina, potentially Kosovo. Are you confident that those countries will follow your path, will one day join the EU? Aren't you worried there is at the moment what a lot of people call enlargement fatigue?
Look, in our trade exchange, the export of the goods, commodities and services, Serbia and Bosnia rank very high. And actually, these are the few countries out of all with which we exercise a surplus. So it matters to us that they also become the part of the single market. We will not be standing in their way at all.
You will support them actively?
Absolutely. Actively, and I dare to say that we will even be displaying a kind of lenience. It's in our interest, as long as the basic rules are. Now, I know that reality goes in sometimes in different directions, so it will be hard. But we stand here not as their mentor, not as their teacher, but as their partner.
Fitch, the credit rating agency, has confirmed your debt at BBB. This is, of course, the last acceptable level for investors, as it's known. Why is it so low? And are you worried that ultimately you will have no other choice but to ask the IMF for help?
I beg to differ. Well, the rating is not of a Dutch or Danish type, of course. It never was, and it's not likely to be in a decade to come. But still, it's not abysmal, and it's higher than in some traditional EU member states. You know which ones. I will not extrapolate here any, because it will be polite. It's steady. Of course, we are heavily reliant on periodical reports of the rating agencies, and it's not good in itself. So we have to simply set free from that. The growth perspective is mediocre for this year. What we inherited, we have inherited. There is no point in turning back. Let bygones be bygones. It's over now. And let's work hard. So for the first time, we have underwent through a kind of fiscal adjustment, and we have cut on the expenditure side. Nobody ever did it before in Croatia. Croatia debt level, especially public debt level, is on the brink of becoming toxic. It reached the point of 60%. It's high, but it's not abysmal again. So there is, as long as there is a good spirit to work and to change things, and then to make a switch in the way the politics are done and the economy is run, there is room for change in Croatia.
So the EU's help will, of course, be very welcome. Between 2013 and 2015, your country will be entitled to up to 3.5 billion euros of structural funds. Where do you want to spend them?
Regional development, rural development, and first and foremost infrastructure, railroads, connecting our biggest and the best positioned port of Rijeka to the Central Europe. It will take altogether billions of euro. In Croatia, it's a big money, it speaks volumes for us. But you mentioned the word entitled. So as long as Croatia is relying solely on the international and other entitlements, it will not bode well for us. We have to change that.
And my last
It's
question.
a small country, it's very mobile, flexible, with a good tradition in manufacturing, good position, strong tourist industry, and the politics and politicians that are ready to change the country. Not abruptly, not violently, but yes, we're determined to do so.
In line with EU sanctions, your government has decided to cut business ties with Syria. Your big oil company, INA, had a lot of business interest in the country. Where does the situation stand these days?
Well, you put it well. It has interest, big time. And again, for the country of Croatia's size, those interests, I will use that phrase again, speak volumes. The revenues and the profits from the Syrian gas fields amounted to $600 million, I guess, annually. It's a big money. So we have to cut on that. Full stop.
But so Croatia...
That's the price. That's the cost of the game.
But you can guarantee that Croatian companies are no longer doing business with Syria?
Oh, let me put it this way. Can the EU guarantee that once the conflict is terminated, they're going to get their contract back? That's what you count on, as well as the British companies do.
Zoran Milanović, newly elected Prime Minister of Croatia, thank you very much for talking to France 24. Thank you for watching our edition of the interview from Zagreb in Croatia. Please stay tuned on France 24 for more news.